The airport whisper. The airport buzzed like a hive full of travelers. Announcements echoed through the air, people rushed from one gate to another, and trolley wheels rolled across the polished floors like clockwork. In the middle of all this chaos, a man stood calm, his shoulders relaxed, his black duffel bag slung casually over one side, his face partly hidden behind a worn cap. Some passengers passed without recognizing him. Others did a double take, their eyes widening once they realized who he was. It was Keanu Reeves. He had no entourage, no loud staff, no flashy clothes. Just a quiet presence and soft nods when someone came up to say hello. He'd gotten used to moving like this, like a shadow in daylight. Today he was headed to a quiet mountain town in Alaska. He told no one, not even his agent knew. He just needed to disappear for a while, think, breathe, and maybe help someone. That was always part of who he was, but that was before the dog came. He was almost at the boarding gate when it happened. The TSA line moved slowly, one step every 30 seconds. Families with kids, elderly couples, businessmen tapping on phones. Everyone was trying to stay calm and move through. Keanu placed his bag on the conveyor belt, removed his shoes, and stepped into the body scanner. Everything seemed normal, until a deep growl echoed from the left side. A German shepherd. Its fur was thick, black and tan with intelligent eyes that didn't blink. The dog had been lying near its handler a moment ago, but now it stood still, eyes locked on Keanu's bag. Its nose twitched, then it barked, short and loud. Everyone stopped. Keanu turned slowly. The dog's bark grew sharper, more focused. People started backing up. The TSA agent held out a hand, telling everyone to freeze. The handler pulled the dog gently by the leash, but it wouldn't move. It stood between Keanu and the boarding gate like a silent wall. The handler spoke into his radio. More agents appeared. Security rushed over. Passengers were moved aside and whispers filled the air. What's going on? He didn't do anything. That's Keanu Reeves' gun, but the dog didn't care about fame. One officer walked over, voice calm but firm. Sir, please step aside. We need to check your bag. Keanu didn't argue. He nodded and moved to the side, standing quiet as the agent surrounded his bag like it might explode. He watched. Hands open, eyes steady. They opened the duffel bag slowly. No ticking sounds, no wires, just clothes, some toiletries, a book. And then they saw it, a small wooden box, old, carved with strange symbols on the sides. It had no lock, just a sliding lid. When one of the agents touched it, the dog barked, again, almost trembling. The handler stepped in. Don't open it, not yet. Keanu took a breath. I can explain. But they didn't let him speak. Not yet. They moved the box carefully to a metal table nearby. Passengers were now staring. From a distance, some filming, others whispering wild theories. The flight was put on hold. Airport police arrived. More dogs came. Still, Keanu waited quietly. No fear in his face, only a sadness that seemed to grow with every passing minute. Finally, a senior officer walked over. Her name tag read Captain Lara Jones. She had silver hair, sharp eyes, and a calmness that reminded Keanu of someone from long ago. Mr. Reeves, she said, you mind telling us what's inside the box? Keanu looked at the box, then at her. It's not dangerous, but it's personal, and maybe something more. Sir, she said gently. Our dog's reaction suggests there's something inside that needs to be explained. Keanu nodded slowly, then stepped forward. May I open it? Lara glanced at the team. One of them nodded. The crowd held its breath. Keanu reached for the box. The dog didn't bark this time, but it watched closely. He slid the lid off carefully. Inside was a small velvet pouch. He opened it and revealed a thin necklace, golden, with a pendant shaped like a leaf. But not just any leaf. It shimmered slightly under the airport lights. And then something strange happened. The dog sat down. Its tail wagged once. Everyone was silent. Keanu looked at the captain. It belonged to a girl. I made a promise to her a long time ago. Lara narrowed her eyes. This necklace is setting off biological alert markers. Do you know why? He nodded. Because it's not from here. Confusion swept over the agents. A younger officer stepped closer. Sir, do you mean it's foreign? Keanu's voice was quiet. It's from somewhere few people believe exists. The room grew tense again. Lara leaned closer. You're telling me this object is not of this world? Keanu looked around. I know how it sounds, but the dog knows. It senses what most people can't. Lara studied his face. You're serious? He nodded. Dead serious. And, just like that, a routine flight turned into something else. The airline halted boarding. A full investigation began. But even as more officers surrounded him, Keanu stood still, not like a man hiding something, but like a man protecting something fragile, something sacred, and far away in a cold research lab no one knew about. A monitor blinked. A signal had been triggered. Someone had touched the necklace, and now they were coming. The forgotten promise. The airport lights flickered as whispers spread, like wildfire. A-listers being held up wasn't news, but this was different. Keanu Reeves wasn't being detained for a scandal, a weapon, or something ordinary. No, this was far stranger, and the moment the velvet pouch opened and the necklace shimmered, everything changed. Captain Lara Jones had seen war zones. She had walked through bomb threats, drug busts, and missing persons cases, but nothing prepared her for this. She stared at the leaf-shaped pendant glowing faintly in the cold light. It was gold, yes, but not quite. The texture was too smooth. It seemed to hum faintly, not a sound, but a kind of vibration you could feel in your chest. The German shepherd, Officer Jack, sat obediently beside her now, completely calm but still alert. Whatever this necklace was, it had spoken to him in a way no human language ever could. Lara turned to Keanu. You said this wasn't from here. You're going to have to explain that. Keanu looked tired. Not physically, but deep inside. Like someone who carried a story he was never allowed to tell. His voice was low, steady. 13 years ago, he said. I was filming in northern Mongolia. We were deep in the mountains, far from roads. The crew stayed near the village, but I wandered off on a day off. I liked hiking alone. I wasn't looking for anything. He paused. But something found me. The agents leaned in slightly. Even the people in the distance watching through the glass seemed drawn to the moment. Keanu continued. I got lost. No GPS, no signal. I walked until my feet bled. Just when I thought I'd collapse, I saw her. A girl, maybe 12 years old, standing by a frozen stream. Lara frowned. What was she doing out there alone? She wasn't alone, he whispered. She was part of something else, something older. I stayed with her and her people for 4 days. No one ever found them again. He reached for the necklace again. This was hers. She gave it to me on the last day, said if I ever opened it when my heart felt heavy, the path would call again. Lara studied him. You're saying this object is from people who don't exist on any map? Keanu nodded. They weren't on a map, but they were real, and they were afraid. She leaned closer. Afraid of what? He looked up slowly. Of something buried beneath the ice. Something they were keeping locked away. Just then, the necklace flashed again. A pulsing glow. Not sharp, but soft. Like a heartbeat. The radio on Lara's vest crackled. A voice broke through. Captain, we're getting strange interference in our comms. Also, we just lost all satellite feed in this terminal. Requesting instructions. She looked at her team. Keep this contained. No leaks. No photos. Clear. The hallway. Agents moved fast, blocking phones, moving people back, cutting visibility. This wasn't just about airport security anymore. Lara turned to Keanu. You said you made a promise. He nodded. I told her if the time ever came, I would carry the necklace to the tallest point I could find. That's why I was flying to Alaska. There's a mountain range there, untouched. She said the sky would open again when the leaf saw the wind. Lara took a slow breath. And what do you believe will happen if you go there? Keanu's answer came quickly. I don't know, but I know this. Something's waking up. And that little girl, she wasn't just a child, she was a protector. Her people were guarding something. If they're gone now, that means the seal's broken. Outside, thunder cracked. Even though the sky had been clear seconds ago, the windows of the terminal shook slightly. Everyone looked up. People began murmuring, pointing to the sky. Lara's second-in-command ran up. Ma'am, we have a situation. She turned sharply. What kind? He pointed outside. Look at gate 17. Lara and Keanu stepped toward the glass. What they saw froze them both. An aircraft on the tarmac, one that had been grounded for over a year and was blinking. Its lights were on, its engines were cold, no crew aboard, yet it began to shake, rise slightly, then stop. Lara whispered, How is that even? But Keanu knew. It's starting. Before she could reply, the German shepherd growled again, standing protectively between Keanu and the rest of the agents, not in fear, but loyalty. Like he had made his choice. Lara watched in disbelief as the dog nudged Keanu's leg, then walked beside him tail up. Her voice trembled slightly. We should call the federal office, maybe even... Keanu interrupted gently. They won't understand. And if they do, they'll try to stop it. This needs to be done without them. Lara faced him fully now. Are you saying you want me to let you go? Even after triggering a biological alert and a possible security lockdown? Keanu gave her a long look. I'm asking you to believe, not in me, but in the promise of a girl who gave her life to protect this world from something we can't explain. The captain looked down at her badge. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then she said, Your flight's canceled, but I know someone who owns a helicopter. Keanu blinked. She added, And I want to see this through. He looked surprised. Why? She answered. Because if the world's about to change, I'd rather help carry the light than stand back in fear. Just then the necklace shimmered again, but this time it glowed not just gold, but blue, and far above them, hidden in the clouds, something ancient opened a single eye. Eyes in the clouds? The airport terminal was no longer a terminal. It had become something else. A place where rules bent, where silence had weight, where truth knocked quietly at the edges of logic. Outside, the grounded plane still pulsed with unknown energy. Inside, the necklace around Keanu's neck now glowed with a steady blue hue as if waking from a long sleep. Captain Lara Jones made a call from a secure line. She said very little. She used a name only once. Code Vega. That name hadn't passed her lips in over 20 years. It was connected to a mission in the Arctic. A mission that never made it into the news. She hung up the phone with trembling fingers. We need to move now, she told Keanu. He nodded. Your helicopter contact? She gestured to the back hallway. Follow me. Officer Jax, the German shepherd, walked ahead of them, tail up, ears sharp. Something about him had changed since he touched the necklace's presence. He moved with purpose now, like he had been activated, like he had a role to play. They exited through a staff-only emergency door. Alarms blinked red but made no sound. Power was glitching. Across the city, lights flickered in sync with the necklace's glow. In the clouds above, something stirred, and radars across North America were quietly being overridden. Lara led Keanu to a black, unmarked SUV waiting behind the building. Inside was a man named Cameron West, a former military pilot, tall, lean, unshaven, with eyes that had seen too much. He didn't ask questions. He simply nodded at Keanu, glanced at the dog and said, Buckle up. The ride was silent at first. Then, as they neared the private airfield, Lara finally asked, Keanu, what do you really know about this thing you're carrying? He looked out the window. Not much. Only what I felt. The girl never explained everything. But she said the necklace was alive. Not in the way we understand. It doesn't think like we do. It waits. It listens. And when it senses pain in the earth, it responds. Lara asked. Pain? Yes, Keanu replied. War, destruction, greed. When those things rise beyond a certain point, the necklace starts to glow. Lara looked at the faint blue pulse against his chest. So it's a warning? No, Keanu said softly. It's a key. The helicopter was waiting for them on a hidden pad near a frozen lake. It was small, built for stealth, not comfort. As they loaded in, Officer Jax jumped in first and curled beside Keanu's feet. Cameron checked the gauges, powered up the engine, and within minutes, they were airborne. Beneath them, the city slowly faded into darkness. Not night, but a strange blackout crawling from building to building. Communications failed. Planes were grounded. Phones lost signal. Lara stared at her tablet. The systems are going down across 5 states. They're saying it's a solar flare. Keanu shook his head. It's not the sun. It's the seal. She frowned. The one under the ice? Yes, he said. When the girls' people gave up their lives, they didn't die in war, they became the lock. When they disappeared, the seal weakened, and now something's waking up. Cameron spoke for the first time. What happens when it wakes? Keanu didn't answer right away. Then he said, It depends who reaches it first. Lara blinked. Someone else knows? Keanu nodded. They've known for years. They've been digging under the ice in secret, calling it climate research. But it's not about the weather. They've been trying to reach what's buried because they think it's power. Lara looked at the horizon. And what do you think it is? He whispered. It's judgment. The helicopter flew over endless snowfields. The mountains of Alaska stood like sleeping giants, their peaks glowing faintly under the moonlight. And there, nestled between 2 ridges, a circle of rocks came into view. Too perfect to be natural, too old to be man-made. Cameron pointed. That's the place? Keanu nodded. They landed on a flat patch nearby. The wind howled. The cold bit through jackets. Officer Jax was the first to leap out, ears perked, nose twitching. The circle was made of 12 stones, each one taller than a man. In the center, a large platform carved with symbols that seemed to shimmer when Keanu approached. As soon as his foot touched the center, the necklace glowed brighter. Lara reached out. What now? Keanu pulled the necklace from around his neck and laid it on the stone. Nothing happened. For a moment, the wind fell still. Then, a deep rumble. Not loud, but vast, like the groan of the earth waking from a long dream. The stone beneath them cracked slightly, not breaking, but opening, not downward, but outward, like a door. The symbols rearranged themselves, glowing red, then white. Lara whispered, "What did you do?" Keanu didn't answer. A faint whisper like wind through trees filled the air, and then a voice. Not human, not machine. He carries the oath. The air grew heavy. Even Jax whimpered. Cameron's jaw clenched. The ground beneath them began to shimmer like water. Lara gripped her radio, but it hissed with static. Keanu took a slow step forward. The voice came again, this time behind his left ear. Do you seek to protect or to awaken? Keanu closed his eyes. To protect. Then the test begins. Suddenly the stone platform lit up. 12 symbols blinked in a circle, each representing something ancient. A flame, a hand, a wolf, a star, a tear, a blade, and more. Keanu stood still. Lara shouted, "Keanu, what's happening?" But he didn't hear her. His mind was no longer in Alaska. He was somewhere else. Standing in snow, and across from him stood the girl from 13 years ago, unchanged, watching him, smiling. And she said, "You came back." The test of the leaf. Keanu stood in the middle of the glowing stone circle, surrounded by symbols older than time. The bitter Alaskan wind howled around him, yet he no longer felt the cold. It was as if something had pulled him away from the physical world. His breath slowed. His heartbeat softened. The air thickened with silence. And there she was. The girl. The same one he met years ago in Mongolia, standing across from him on the snow-covered platform. Her clothes were simple, like before, made from woven thread he couldn't name. Her black hair moved gently in the wind, though everything else around her stayed still, untouched by time. She smiled, eyes full of kindness. And something deeper, sorrow. You remembered? She whispered. Keanu took a step forward. I never forgot. Her hands reached out slowly, palms up, and the necklace floated from his chest into her grasp without either of them touching it. You kept it safe, she said. You've done well. Keanu hesitated. I wasn't sure what to do. The world's changed. I wasn't sure if any of this was still real. She nodded gently. Many forget. Most stop believing. But the earth never forgets, and the oath never dies. A soft light rose from the ground surrounding them. It cast no shadow, but warmed the air like a memory. She turned, walking slowly toward the edge of the stone platform. With a gesture, she invited him to follow. You came to protect the seal, she said, but you must understand what lies beneath it. Keanu followed her into a space that stretched far beyond what he had seen. It was no longer a mountain ridge. It was something deeper, another realm layered beneath the ice and stone. She continued. Long ago, before humans built cities, before they spoke in numbers and names, there was something buried deep beneath the northern sky. A fragment of the first flame, the kind that burns without fire, that speaks without words. Keanu asked quietly, And the necklace? It was made from the last leaf of the old tree, the tree that grew over the seal. When the guardians fell, it was hidden in the hands of someone who would not seek power but peace. She looked at him. That was you. His voice broke slightly. I'm just an actor. I don't know why you chose me. She turned to face him fully. Because you lost everything, and still chose kindness. The light dimmed slightly. Now, she said, the test begins. Back in the real world, Lara Jones watched in horror as Keanu's body froze in place, his eyes glowing faintly blue. Officer Jax whined, circling his feet, then stopped and sat down, tail wagging slowly like he knew this was part of something larger than himself. Cameron gripped his radio. We have movement on the ridge. 2 black snowmobiles coming fast, no eyed, no lights. Lara scanned the horizon. The wind kicked up snow in every direction, but she could see them too. 2 black dots growing larger, headed straight for the circle. Someone else found us, she said grimly. Get the rifle. Inside, the light realm, Keanu stood in front of 12 floating stones, each one pulsed with a different color and shape. The girl spoke gently. To protect the seal, you must answer its memory. One wrong choice, and the path will close forever. Are you ready? He nodded. Yes. The first stone glowed red. The shape of fire. A voice boomed. What do you do when the world burns around you, and the ones you love scream your name? Keanu closed his eyes. I hold them, even if it cost me everything. The stone dimmed. The second stone lit up, shaped like a tear. Would you trade your own peace for the pain of another, to carry their burden when they cannot stand? Keanu whispered, yes. One by one, the stones tested him, with questions not of knowledge but of heart. His answers were not perfect, but they were honest, raw, true. Then the final stone, shaped like a wolf, began to spin. What if the very thing you're trying to protect wakes up to destroy the world? Keanu paused. Then I will try to show it kindness before the world makes it cruel. The stones all pulsed once, then faded. A light rose from the center of the circle. The girl stepped back. You have passed. Keanu felt warmth spread through his chest, but also a weight, like something ancient had just curled around his soul. What happens now? he asked. She stepped closer, her voice now almost a whisper. Now. You awaken it. Keanu's eyes widened. What? The seal must rise. You are the final key. Only you can unlock it and face what comes next. Outside, the snowmobile stopped. Two figures dressed in full black gear stepped out, faces covered. One of them pulled a device from his coat. It blinked green when pointed at the glowing stones. Lara raised her weapon. Drop it, the man smirked. You have no idea what he's doing, do you? Lara growled. Back away, or I shoot. If he opens that seal, the man said, he won't be able to close it. And that's when the ground shook again. The platform Keanu stood on began to rise, slow at first, then faster. The stones lifted with it. Wind spiraled upward like a storm. The pendant glowed white-hot. Snow blew sideways. The air changed. A roar echoed from deep beneath the ice. Long, hollow, ancient. Not a creature. Not a machine. Something in between. And somewhere far away, underground sensors that hadn't blinked in centuries suddenly turned red. The seal was opening, and the world would never be the same again. The creature beneath the seal's nose turned sideways as the mountain shuddered under their feet. The glowing stone platform Keanu stood on continued to rise from the ground, slowly unfolding like a flower made of ancient ice and light. Below it, cracks snaked through the frozen earth in every direction, like veins waking after a long sleep. Lara Jones shouted over the roar of the wind. Get him down, he's in danger. But no one could reach him. Keanu wasn't there anymore, not fully. His body stood still in the center of the floating stones, but his mind was deep inside a different place. A place older than memory. In this realm, he walked across a plain of silver mist. Each step echoed. The girl from before walked beside him, her voice now more distant as if she too was beginning to fade. What lies beneath the seal is not evil, she said softly, but it is wild, and it remembers everything humans have done to the earth. Keanu frowned. So why wake it? She stopped walking. Because it's already stirring. The question is, who it sees first. If it sees fear and greed, it will reflect that back. If it sees kindness and courage, it may show mercy. Keanu turned to her. So this is a test. Not for me, but for it? She nodded slowly. Yes, you are its mirror. Suddenly the mist parted, revealing a massive door in the earth. Shaped like an eye, closed tightly. But cracks had formed in the lid, and from within came a low sound. Not a scream, not a growl. Something like a heartbeat mixed with sorrow. Keanu stepped forward. And if I open it? The girl's form began to fade. Then your heart must stay open wider than the gate. Then she was gone. Back on the E, Mountain Cameron aimed his rifle at the two mysterious men in black who had arrived on snowmobiles. They didn't run. They didn't flinch. They simply watched as the stone platform rose. What do you want? Cameron barked. One of the men lowered his hood. His face was pale, sharp, and calm. You don't understand what he's doing, he said. We've been studying the seal for 20 years. We know what's under there. Lara kept her aim steady. So do we. The man shook his head. No, you think you do. But this isn't some ancient artifact. It's a memory wrapped in form. It doesn't just wake up. It remembers. And you don't want it to remember everything. Lara narrowed her eyes. And you came here to stop him? He looked away. No. We came to see if it would choose him. A tremor knocked them to the ground. The mountain split at the base of the stone circle. A blinding beam of white light shot into the clouds. Everyone went still. In the vision realm, Keanu reached the giant eye-shaped gate. It pulsed. A voice entered his thoughts. Not with words, but feelings. You carry pain. Keanu nodded. Yes, you've lost much. Yes. Then why do you still carry love? He closed his eyes. Because it's the only thing that grows when it's given away. The seal cracked wider. A shape moved behind it. Tall, coiled like light and smoke mixed with bone. Will you still love, even if the world turns from you? Yes. Will you protect those who fear you? Yes. Will you forgive those who tried to bury me? Keanu opened his eyes. I don't know, but I'll try. Silence followed. Then, the eye opened, and Keanu fell. On the mountain, a burst of energy exploded from the center of the circle, knocking everyone back. Officer Jax barked wildly, then suddenly went silent, staring at the light with his ears down, tail still. Keanu's body floated above the stones. His eyes burned gold now, not blue, as if he had become a torch. Lara dropped her weapon. From the cracked seal, something began to emerge. Not a monster, not a beast. Something beautiful, terrifying, elegant. A creature of shifting light and shadow. It had no true form. One moment it looked like a lion, the next a serpent, the next a bird of fire. It hovered above the snow. It looked at Keanu. He looked back. They didn't speak, but they understood. Far away, in deep underground. Bunkers, military satellites exploded from within. Communication servers around the world glitched. Stock markets flickered. Somewhere in space, a space station caught a pulse of energy that melted 3 of its sensors. But up on the mountain, everything went quiet. The creature touched the ground and knelt. Lara stepped forward. Is it bowing? Keanu slowly lowered to his feet, standing face to face with the ancient being. It's not here to destroy, he said. It was never trying to. Lara approached. Then what does it want? Keanu looked at her. To heal. The creature reached out with a tendril of golden light. It touched the side of Officer Jax's head. The dog blinked, then whimpered gently. Lara gasped. Jax is crying, but they were not tears of fear. They were tears of release. A hum began to rise from the creature. Not a sound, but a wave of peace. Nearby trees stopped shaking. The snow stopped falling. The wind grew still, and every screen across the world that had gone black now displayed a simple image, a glowing leaf, the same shape as the necklace. Beneath it, words appeared. Remember the promise. Keanu stepped back. It's done, he whispered. Lara stared at the being. Is it going to stay? Keanu looked into the sky. No. It came to remind us, to show us what we forgot. The creature lifted itself slowly, its form dissolving into streaks of light. And now, he said, it returns to sleep. The last piece of its body turned into a small shimmer and flowed into Keanu's palm. The necklace reformed in his hand, its glow soft, warm, like sunrise. Down the mountain, the 2 agents watched with quiet awe. The one who had warned Lara earlier spoke softly. He passed. He really passed, the other whispered. Then maybe we still have a chance. In the days that followed, strange things happened. Forests that had been dying bloomed with sudden life. Earthquakes stopped in regions where they had been expected. A volcano went silent. And millions of people reported seeing dreams of a glowing creature standing beside a man with sad eyes and a kind heart. On a quiet trail in Alaska, Keanu Reeves stood alone, Officer Jax beside him. Lara, not far behind. He stared at the sky. He no longer felt lost, because now he remembered the promise too. The promise kept. The snow had stopped. No wind, no storm, just silence. The kind that sinks into your bones and holds everything in stillness. Keanu stood at the edge of the mountain trail, holding the necklace in his hand. The same leaf-shaped pendant that had glowed with ancient memory, that had unlocked something older than language, now sat in his palm like any ordinary trinket. No light, no pulse, no sound. Officer Jax sat beside him, calm but alert, eyes still watching the horizon as if sensing more than what was visible. Lara Jones stood behind them, arms crossed, trying to understand what had just happened. Even after everything, it felt surreal. The world hadn't ended. No cities collapsed. No fire from the sky, and yet, everything had changed. Lara finally broke the silence. "So, it's over?" Keanu didn't answer right away. He looked up at the sky, now glowing soft orange from a rising sun. "It's not over," he said quietly. "But the worst didn't come. Because we remembered." Lara frowned. "Remembered what?" Keanu turned to her, his voice soft. "Who we really are. What matters. Why we must protect what we don't understand instead of trying to control it." She looked down at the snow, thoughtful. "Then the creature, it was never here to destroy us?" "No," he said. "It came to see if we were still worth saving." In the days that followed, news broke across the world about the Alaskan Light. That's what they called it. Satellites had captured only a fraction of the phenomenon. Shimmering beams shooting into the clouds, trees growing out of frozen soil in minutes, even strange symbols appearing on mountain rocks, only to fade hours later. Scientists were baffled. Governments denied involvement. And Keanu Reeves, he vanished again. The public didn't know he had been at the center of it all. No footage was ever released. No photo ever leaked. The only people who knew the truth were Lara, Cameron, and a handful of silent watchers who had arrived too late to interfere. Lara stayed with the agency but requested transfer to environmental operations. Cameron left the field entirely. Officer Jax was given special clearance, retired from active duty, and adopted by Keanu himself. They stayed in a cabin near the base of the mountain, far from the noise of Hollywood or the rush of city life. Months later, Keanu walked through the forest with Jax trotting ahead. The world was quieter now, more aware. People were planting more trees, speaking softer, listening deeper. Not everywhere, not always, but enough. He walked to the stone circle, now half covered in snow. The stones no longer glowed, but the air still felt different there, softer, wiser. He knelt at the center and placed the necklace down. "I kept the promise," he whispered. The wind shifted, a voice echoed. Not from the sky, not from the earth, but from memory. "And the earth remembers you." Keanu smiled and walked away, leaving the pendant behind. Somewhere, deep beneath the ice in a place no map could find, the last bit of the creature curled itself into silence once more. Not dead, not gone, only sleeping, waiting. But this time, not in fear, in peace. Back in the city, children began drawing strange symbols they had never learned. Old people dreamed of golden light and forests blooming, and a new generation of explorers, thinkers, and quiet protectors started rising. They didn't want fame. They didn't want power. They just wanted to protect the whisper of the world before it was lost again. And they followed the stories of a man who never shouted, never demanded, but always listened. A man who walked beside a loyal dog. A man who carried kindness like a torch in the dark. His name? They all knew it. But to them, he was simply called the Keeper of the Leaf.